Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation and welcoming back to the channel the wonderful Mr. Peter Wicks. How's it going, mate?
It's going pretty well, mate.
We are going to talk about Australian bands or artists that should have been much bigger internationally. So these bands or artists might have been a bit of a hit in the home country, but did not make it on the international stage. Pete, I'll throw it to you. Take it away. Who is your first artist that you're going to put a spotlight on that should have been much bigger internationally?
Well, AC/DC. No, I'm joking. No, they actually did all right. No, I was going to say UMI. UMI have done exceptionally well here in Australia. They kicked off in 1989, and they're not their first album, but the four albums after that were consecutive number ones in Australia, and I think they're the only band that have actually done that. Tim Rogers is a local from our way, actually, from where he's a Castle Hill local. He used to work at Tower Records at Castle Hill back in the day. So, but anyway, a fantastic band. But yeah, they never made it overseas. So they've got 9 albums. They've even got a greatest hits album. Goes to show how well they've done here. Yeah, never quite hit it in the US or anything like that. I don't count the UK because Australian bands tend to do tours at the UK and do well over there, but there's so many Aussies in the UK. I think it's just other Aussies going to see the bands over there.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think I don't know if you've heard it, but there was a live recording. I think it was a bonus CD on it might have been on Hi-Fi Way, but it was their tour. Their tour of the States where they were supporting Soundgarden, and they were supporting Soundgarden at the height of Soundgarden's career, and they had UMI had a drum with their record company, and their record company was due to release the album over there and didn't, got delayed. So they were basically touring with the biggest band on earth at the time, and no one could go out and buy their CD if they liked them.
Yeah, so, and that was the window of opportunity, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely.
They could have hit it big. How would you describe their sound? I'd sort of say garage rock, power pop, alternative rock.
Alternative rock. I mean, they do have a garagey sound on a lot of their tracks. Yeah, alternative rock, but like fantastic, well-written songs, and definitely should have been a big deal overseas. Great live act too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen them plenty of times. They're one of the better live acts in the day. What are the songs that you'd recommend to the folks in the Northern Hemisphere that may have not have heard of them, or albums they should check out?
Hi-Fi Way, I think is to me I think that's their best album.
It's a masterpiece.
That was album. That was their second album. But Berlin Chair, I love Berlin Chair. That's a classic.
That's
song.
A great song.
But
Ali Daly, that's another good album. The follow up.
Yep. And they must have struggled to come up with a name, but the number 4 record. Number 4 record. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic band. Should have done a million times better than what they did do overseas. So
he's one of the best songwriters, isn't he, Tim Rogers? Because he just talks about the Australian experience, Purple Sneakers, just so many great songs. But they never made it. Do you think maybe they just didn't fit the cookie cutter of what was going on? Maybe they were just too alternative for the mainstream. They were kind of in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, touring with Soundgarden at their peak, and I mean, like that was Super Unknown, the Super Unknown tour. So yeah, you think that would have launched them overseas, but although they are an alternative rock band, they're of a completely different sound to Soundgarden. So they're not the riff heavy type. That they're far more garage rock than say Soundgarden. Soundgarden borders on metal. They used to be considered a metal band. So yeah.
Yeah, and you and I are very much like old classic rock. Like I know they were very much influenced by the Faces and the Who. So you
Yeah,
can imagine that, and with a that sort of
yeah.
guitar rock. All right, well that's a great first one. I've got one in a similar era. I'm going to talk about Ratcat. Remember them?
Right.
So it's a fascinating, almost huge story because unlike you and my, they were huge for about a year and then gone. So Tingles, the EP, That Ain't Bad, number
Yeah.
one. Blind Love, Don't Go Now, number one.
Mm.
1992, Inside Out, hit number 59. It was like it was all over.
So what happened to them?
Well, I think the Australian crowd was a little bit fickle. So the
Right.
timing for that album in 1991, it was perfectly local, but it was a little bit awkward globally. It was a bit of I would describe them as a cross between late 80s indie power pop and early 90s alternative. And they
Mm.
had that sort of buzzsaw guitar, pop hooks, and a bit of skate punk energy. And
Yeah.
they were a bit of ahead of the curve because, this is around the time that Nirvana broke through with Nevermind. So,
Mm.
but I don't think they got the sort of the critics or regarded them in a serious way that they regarded Nirvana. I thought they regarded them as a bit of a teen pop. So they had a frontman in Simon Day that is a good-looking guy. He was quite charismatic.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it had this teeny pop type of image around them. But they wrote decent songs. They were pretty good live, and
I never saw them live.
and they were just all over in about a year. So I think that when alternative rock was starting to explode, Nirvana leading the way, Ratcat had some really decent songs, and that album Blind Love is a decent album. They could have
Yeah.
broken internationally and globally. But the next album they did, it only hit number 59. It was like lightning in a bottle for 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would to me they sounded a bit like Jesus and Mary Chain.
And Ramones, like
Yeah,
that ain't bad. You
yeah,
listen to that; they've got that sort of that Ramones, that Johnny Ramone
yeah,
buzzsaw, windmill type of guitar sound.
yeah.
But they were
But
big, but
yeah,
it was such a narrow window.
I,
So when
I,
I was
I
researching
wondered
them,
if
I
they
just couldn't
busted
believe.
up or something.
I thought they had longer success. I actually saw them. The first time I saw them was in front at the Sydney Trade Union. They were playing, on an industry night, and they were playing in front of the pokey machines. And a mate of mine at the time said, "Well, what do you think of this band?" And I go, "I don't think they're going to go anywhere." A couple of years later, they broke big.
Bang.
They were huge, but they played very simple, basic songs. But were hooky. They had good arrangements, and they should have broken big, but
Yeah,
it
they're
wasn't meant
still
to be.
touring. Did you know they're still touring?
Yes, I believe there's a
Yeah,
situated Ratcat with Simon Day, so they tread the boards occasionally.
they're playing. I'm not sure if they're doing the whole tour, but they were playing down here, supporting Spiderbait for the Spiderbait
Right,
anniversary tours. Yeah,
right, absolutely. But those two albums, the EP Tingles
mm,
and Blind Love, the album, were huge in
yeah,
Australia, and they're on the Ruart label. It was an indie label, and they really kicked off indie rock being in the mainstream in Australia,
yeah,
because you had a lot of artists that came after that. So if it
yeah.
wasn't for Ratcat, I'd argue you wouldn't have your Silverchairs, you possibly wouldn't have your
Yeah, there were certainly a lot of other bands trying hard at the time, and they just
yeah.
sort of popped up